Over the years, TLC has given rise to many different families through its channel. Almost a decade ago, fans met the Duggars through 19 Kids and Counting. Their conservative ways and strict IVLP lifestyle impressed many. But Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar's eldest son Josh Duggar's heinous crimes made Duggar News headlines, and everything changed. He has been in prison for possessing and receiving CSAM while most of the siblings don't talk about him. Jim Bob and Michelle have tried their best to look for ways to get an early release or for his sentencing to lessen. It looks like Donald Trump's presidential win might end up helping Josh. Does this mean he will get an early release from prison? Duggar News. Josh Duggar's attorneys have filed multiple appeals for retrial. Josh Duggar has been in prison since 2022, serving a 12.5-year-long prison sentence. He was guilty of possessing and receiving CSAM. Since then, there have been updates from Duggar's attorneys that they want a retrial by filing appeals. They were doing so on the grounds of lack of evidence. But finally, the court announced its final verdict and rejected all the appeals. It withheld its decision not to grant Josh a retrial. Duggar News followers were glad that he would still be behind bars. But now that Trump has won the presidential elections, fans feel it could lead to Josh getting an early release. Is that so? Duggar News. Trump's presidential victory means Josh is coming home soon from prison. As mentioned above, the Duggar family has always been inclined towards the Republican Party. Back in 2016, Jim Bob Duggar was a Republican member of the Arkansas House of Representatives from 1999 to 2002. He also publicly endorsed Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential elections. Apart from this, the Duggar family has made appearances at political rallies and events where Trump has been present. Duggar News followers have seen Jim Bob attending events where Donald Trump was speaking. So, after his 2024 win, fans feel there is a strong chance he will help the Duggars. As everyone knows, Josh Duggar has already completed 2 years out of his 12.5-year sentence. Chances are that Jim Bob's strong political pull might help Josh in terms of getting an early prison release. While there is no confirmation about this, there lies a strong possibility. After all, presidential pardons are one way in which a president can intervene in a person's legal situation, potentially shortening a sentence or granting a full release. Trump did issue some high-profile pardons during his first term. However, there is no proof that Josh Duggar has made any such request about the matter. Do you think Donald Trump could issue a pardon for Josh's early prison release owing to Jim Bob Duggar's connection to him? Moreover, his entire family has also endorsed him during the elections. Tell us in the comments. Josh Duggar, the eldest son of the once-beloved Duggar family of *19 Kids and Counting fame, has long been a controversial figure. Following his 2021 conviction for possessing and receiving child sexual abuse material, CSAM, Duggar was sentenced to over 12 years in federal prison. Since then, his case has faded from the headlines for many, but speculation has recently resurfaced. With the possibility of new leadership in Washington, some wonder, could a new administration pardon Josh Duggar or grant him an early release? Let's unpack the complexities of such a scenario. What would a presidential pardon mean for Josh Duggar? In the United States, a presidential pardon is a powerful tool that can entirely forgive someone for their federal crimes. While it's rare for such clemency to be extended in high-profile cases involving egregious crimes like Duggar's, the idea isn't entirely implausible. A new government, particularly one with connections to Duggar's ideological circles or conservative Christian supporters, might theoretically consider clemency for symbolic reasons. The role of politics and advocacy. Josh Duggar's case is highly charged, intersecting politics, religion, and societal views on justice. The Duggars have long been associated with conservative Christian values, and they have ties to influential figures in the evangelical and political arenas. Jim Bob Duggar, Josh's father, once served as a Republican state legislator in Arkansas and has cultivated relationships within the conservative movement. If a new government leans heavily on appealing to evangelical voters, there could be pressure, though likely subtle and indirect, for leniency towards someone like Josh. Advocacy groups might push for such a move under the guise of redemption or rehabilitation, aligning with their belief in forgiveness and second chances. However, such an act would be fraught with controversy, especially considering the heinous nature of the crimes Duggar committed. Early release, a more likely scenario? Rather than a pardon, early release might be a more realistic outcome for Josh Duggar. Federal inmates often have opportunities to reduce their sentences through good behavior, participation in rehabilitation programs, or even legal appeals. While Duggar's sentence is currently set to end in 2032, several factors could impact this timeline. Good conduct time. Under the First Step Act, passed in 2018, federal inmates can earn up to 54 days of good conduct time per year. Assuming Duggar maintains good behavior during his incarceration, he could shave approximately 1.5 years off his sentence. This would move his release date to mid-2030. Rehabilitation programs. Many federal prisons offer programs aimed at reducing recidivism, such as education, vocational training, or therapy. Completion of these programs can sometimes lead to additional time reductions. Duggar has reportedly been working in the prison's facility maintenance department, which could indicate a willingness to participate in such programs. Appeals process. Duggar's legal team has been persistent in attempting to overturn his conviction. In 2023, his appeal to have the case retried was denied, but his lawyers have not ruled out further appeals. Should a future legal challenge prove successful, it's possible his sentence could be reduced or vacated altogether. Public perception and backlash ***. The idea of clemency or early release for Josh Duggar is guaranteed to provoke strong reactions from the public. Duggar's crimes were not just illegal, they were deeply disturbing, involving the exploitation of children. Many view his conviction and sentence as a small measure of justice for the harm caused. A pardon or early release would almost certainly ignite outrage, particularly from survivors' advocacy groups and those who fight against child exploitation. The backlash could be amplified by the Duggar family's public persona, which once emphasized their moral superiority and adherence to strict Christian values. For many, the hypocrisy of Josh's actions and his family's attempts to defend him have already eroded their credibility. On the other hand, Duggar still has a base of supporters who see him as a victim of political or societal bias. These individuals argue that the system was unfairly harsh on him, pointing to his lack of a prior criminal record or his upbringing in a hyper-controlled, patriarchal environment. Such supporters might rally behind him, particularly if his family continues to vocalize their belief in his innocence or potential for redemption. The Duggar family's role ***. While Josh Duggar serves his sentence, the rest of the Duggar family has largely distanced themselves from his crimes, at least publicly. Jill Duggar Dillard, one of Josh's sisters, has spoken out against her brother and the culture of secrecy within the family. Her memoir, ***Counting the Cost***, shed light on the trauma she endured and the ways the family prioritized its public image over personal accountability. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, however, have remained more reserved about their stance. They have not publicly condemned their son's actions in strong terms, instead focusing on general statements about forgiveness and prayer. This silence leaves room for speculation about whether they would support efforts to secure a pardon or early release for Josh. Family divisions. The Duggar family is no longer the unified front it once was. Several of the siblings have charted their own paths, distancing themselves from their parents' strict teachings. If a pardon or early release became a public conversation, it's likely the family would be divided on the issue, with some advocating for Josh's continued accountability and others emphasizing forgiveness and second chances. Would a new administration take the risk of granting a pardon or supporting early release for someone like Josh Duggar would be a politically risky move for any administration. While the Duggars were once synonymous with wholesome family values, their brand has been irreparably tarnished, associating with their legacy, or worse, appearing to excuse Josh's crimes, could be a public relations nightmare for a new government. Moreover, the severity of Duggar's crimes makes clemency highly unlikely from a purely legal standpoint. Federal pardons and sentence reductions are generally reserved for nonviolent offenders, individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary rehabilitation, or those who were convicted under questionable circumstances. Josh Duggar's case does not neatly fit into any of these categories. Conclusion: the idea of Josh Duggar receiving a presidential pardon or early release is a polarizing and speculative topic. While his family's connections to conservative circles and the complexities of evangelical politics might create a slim opening for such an outcome, the public outcry and legal precedents make it an unlikely scenario. For now, Duggar remains incarcerated, serving the sentence handed down by the justice system. Whether a new government decides to intervene in his case, or if his legal team successfully navigates a new appeal, remains to be seen. In the meantime, his story serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of accountability and the lasting impact of crimes against the most vulnerable members of society. If you are looking for more Duggar family news, stay tuned by subscribing to this channel for all your updates.